We got a great setup tonight on the Calcio Guys. Gianni, Adriano, Nicholas, joined by Bellobrini, or Brandon. How's it going?
Good. You guys, how about you?
It's good. It's good. It's good. Thank
Can't
you again,
complain.
Brandon, for coming on. I think this is the second cap on the show, so we hope to
Yep.
make many more in the future. And again, always thank you just for your time.
Of
Uh,
course.
we, of course, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Listen to us on all your favorite podcasting platforms. And, we had a great set time tonight. And, if you listen carefully, the word of the day already is set, which the Azzurri couldn't do yesterday against France, defend set pieces. Nations League, so they lost 3-1 to France, beat Belgium 1-0. I forget if it was on Thursday of last week. So plenty to talk about here. But I mean, hey, let's jump right into it. We might as well start with the France game just because it is fresh. Brandon, I don't know how much, if you watched the whole thing, if you had a chance to watch the game, but what did you see with the Azzurri? 3 goals on set pieces. Just how bad defensively is that?
Well, I did actually watch that game. It was like on TV in the background, and then once they started getting scored on, I was like, okay, let's sit down and watch this a bit because it just made no sense how you have a flawless tournament, you barely concede goals, and then you're getting scored scraps by like French B team players. So it was a bit interesting there. The ding free kick, if it's Donnarumma nets, it doesn't go in. That's my honest opinion. Um, Rabiot, a guy who played at Juventus for so long, should be marked up by Locatelli. Like they literally played together for almost 6, 7 years. So I don't understand how you just forget what he's gonna do. And I think it came down to Locatelli, honestly. I don't think he belongs on the team anymore. I think we have a lot more in that position. Tonali makes a huge difference. He was missing at the Euros, clearly. And I think it came down to Spalletti kind of taking the foot off the gas a bit and going with this somewhat of a B team. When you just want to finish strong. But then again, it all comes down to the San Siro curse. I think that's what it really comes down to do.
Definitely, we have Numerocchio at San Siro. It's incredible. Every time the Azzurri play there, it's like we hold our breath. Like obviously, it's a beautiful environment. If you've ever been to the stadium, guys, it's a hell of an atmosphere. It's an old stadium, but it brings back so many good memories. And the Azzurri, for whatever reason, so far, at least in recent memory, it's been terrible. So I don't know what it is. I guess I don't know. They don't see that. Maybe it's only us over here across the pond. I don't know, but it's just incredible to see that. One stat that we kind of pulled up, before we jumped on here, we spoke about the set piece goals that we conceded 3 of them yesterday. I mean, out of the 8 goals conceded by Italy all tournament so far, all group stage. I'm sorry, 7 of them were off of the set pieces. So that says something. Obviously I think we've been good, throughout this tournament. Like you said, Brandon, a flawless tournament. It's a shame to kind of lose that hype, that momentum on the final match day to go in second place against France. It came down to goal differential, by that 1 goal. They could have lost 1-0 and still, been in first place. So it is a shame. Is because I don't know, Brandon, if you agree or not, but for me I would say that first 25, even that first half hour, it seemed like Italy was playing not to lose. They weren't playing to win. They were playing not to lose, in my opinion. I don't know if you agree with that. Just what do you put into kind of the collapse on that final match day? Because for me, I was pissed. I don't know about you, but it's a shame because I wanted to finish first. I think all Italians wanted to finish first, Azzurri fans, and does that come down to Spalletti's mentality? Does that become the players, like you said, got that B lineup? Like, where do you really point the finger?
There could be a lot of factors. I think it majorly comes down to just that classic, like, oh, we're 1 foot into the door. Let's just play this one out. France doesn't have Mbappe. Chomeni's hurt. Camavinga's not there. We're playing Guendouzi and Rabiot and Zing. Teo's on the bench. Let's just mail it in. And I want to say that wasn't the mentality, but it was, because if you're really gonna go hard, you're not gonna start Locatelli. You can't tell me this guy has faith in Locatelli when the Rovella is having a great year. He's young. He should be getting that experience, and he's just not starting that second game. When I can guarantee you, he's got a tank full of energy, ready to pounce on these opportunities. And I think just the squad selection too, Zaccagni not being in the squad with the season he's having, Maldini being there, I have no idea what's going on there. Like Monza's in last place. This guy barely scores. I watched the game against Milan. He missed like 3 empty nets. So it's like I don't know if they're glazing the hierarchy over there or whatever is going on, but it's not really the moves I would like to see being made. We have trouble scoring, and you're bringing 4 forwards every time to the international break. It's a bit crazy to me. But I think it's a lack of that. Like Spain closed it out today against Switzerland. Portugal's been dominant. Germany's been dominant. And Italy needed this for momentum, and they just weren't dominant. And I don't care if we lost and finished second. It's just you lose to France at home. It's just even worse.
I have to agree. I think that I think you've nailed it perfectly about the whole like killer instinct, where it's like you get the job done, and where that's something that we've been wanting from the squad for the longest time, to just showcase that they have that killer instinct, the ability to close out games when we need them to. And we discussed that before, where it's like we want the team to build confidence, and results like this don't really help that. It was the same formation. One thing I want to add though, it's that so it seems like Spalletti has found a formation that worked. I believe it still does, but it seems that also France probably had a better game plan this time around to handle that, because we caught them off on their back foot last game. This is the same formation, more or less, give or take 4 players, about a difference in terms of who we fielded versus in that game versus today, versus yesterday's game. And I think France just also like knew, okay, like now we know how they like to play, and that shows the quality level of one team versus another, where it's like they're able to adapt and adjust and then go from there. And this time Italy was underprepared. Now, obviously, yes, you could say like, okay, well, Vicario versus Donnarumma. Vicario's not a terrible goaltender, but it's him and Donnarumma. You know what I'm saying? It's a bit of a night and day there situation. But still, I think ultimately it comes down to killer instinct in the squad, and also I feel like as if they were just underprepared for this matchup and like really took it a little bit lightly than they should have.
Classic Italy. It's classic Italy. Doing it the hard way, man. It blows my mind. Sorry to cut you off there, Nick, but it just blows my mind that how we have to do it the hard way. We have to suffer. We can't just go out on the terms that we want to go out on. And I know we're going to get into other topics, but sorry, go ahead, Nick.
No, I just want to bring up, Brandon, you talked about the San Siro curse. I looked it up. In the last 10 years, 2 wins, 2 losses, 4 draws. But of course, we all remember the one big draw/loss was to Sweden at the San Siro. And it feels like since then, they have a couple of Nations League wins, like against, I think, Ukraine and England, but they lost to Spain there in the Nations League semifinals a couple years ago.
Which ended our big streak.
Yeah, exactly. That was the game that ended the winning streak. It is obviously amazing atmosphere. I was like, even just listening to the anthem before the game, it's beautiful, but they're cursed. They're cursed there. Maybe they should stop playing games there. Maybe go back to Rome, where they seem to have a bit more luck. But guys, I wanna ask. I mean, obviously, I want to ask Brandon, but even Gianni and Adriano about the forward stuff, because that is one thing we talked about last week. Orsolini scored in 5 straight games heading into this international break, and he's left off again. Brandon, you talked about Zaccagni. And one thing I said about Orsolini being left off, I said last week, if Italy can't score, we're going to criticize it, and that's the position we're in now. They scored 2 goals over these 2 games. I mean, how much of a difference, Brandon, do you think Orsolini and Zaccagni would have made in these 2 games?
Well, I think they're both wingers with their teams, but on this position or formation we play, it's more of a Cambiaso Di Marco situation that we have at the wings. So that works fine. So if you put a guy like that where Barella played, and you put Barella where he's supposed to be, which is where Locatelli was, then we wouldn't have a problem in the midfield. because Barella is always going to win the ball back next to Tonali, Fratesi, whoever it is. And I just think that number 10 role belongs to a dribbler that has skill like Zaccagni. We saw it. He came on. He scored that goal. That finesse isn't in every. I haven't seen that since Del Piero. So someone kicked the ball like that for Italy. Grosso had it in him. We haven't seen a nice curler like that in a long time. And at the impact it had to qualify us, you just can't leave a guy like that off. Like, what the hell has Raspadori done to still get called up? He doesn't even start for Napoli, and Napoli doesn't even play Europe. So it's mind-boggling to me. But he loves Raspadori because he brought him to Napoli. I think it comes down to that. Orsolini would play in that 10 role too. He's got that left foot. He's got the trickery. He's a little pit bull, and he can set up like whatever his name is, Lookman there. He plays right behind Retegui as a 10, but he was a left winger his whole life. And then he goes behind the 10. So now Spalletti's playing like Gasperini, and he's trying to make Retegui score these goals that he's scoring for Atalanta, except you're putting a center midfielder behind him. If it was Hakan Çalhanoğlu, I'd be like, okay, this guy, he could play calm. I'm not, it's not, it's back to the Milan days, but he's not Italian, that guy. And we need this calm. So he brings in Maldini, but Maldini's not experienced enough to do this. So it comes down to having, if Chiesa was there, I don't know what's going on with this guy. He goes to Liverpool, he doesn't touch the field. So there's just a lot of players missing for that number 10 role for Italy. It seems like it's up for grabs. And he'd probably call Politano and Raspadori before he'd call Orsolini and Zaccagni too, which is disappointing.
I think the reason why Barella was also put in that role is because Pellegrini getting the red card previous game is what basically caused that whole shift in the midfield to happen. And there is a lack of quality available for that role. And like at this, it's kind of sad to say, but your best case scenario for that position currently, or somebody has more comfort with it, would be in terms of playing for Spalletti would be Pellegrini. But I don't disagree that we should try out other options too. Or Solini calling up is fine. I'm just going to be a bit defensive for Retegui though. It's like the guy's got 11 goals in Serie A right now. He is one of the hot hands too. Like it is still like the journey of finding out that true striker. So it's weird because in a 3-5-1-1 formation, it's like you need to have probably the best striker in the world to handle things on their own up there. We don't have that. So yes, maybe try out but it's been working. That's the thing. It's weird. It's like because Spalletti started off with the 4-3-3. That was a disaster during the Euro Cup, right? So he swapped it to 3-5-1-1. Seems to have been working out, but it's still not enough. Offensively, we still have some struggles. I wouldn't be opposed to maybe trying out Orsolini right behind Retegui and seeing how that works out and stuff too. But I will be a bit defensive for Retegui. I think I still have faith in him being probably the better selection option. I know some people might disagree with me for now, but I wouldn't be opposed to him losing his position in the future for somebody else, given the fact of the formation itself maybe might not quite suit him. But I don't think he's horrible either.
No, one thing I just want to add. I mean, we gotta get him balls. Like did he touch? How many balls did he touch yesterday? He touched what? Maybe
the ones between his pants.
Exactly, right? No, but that's it, right? Really, that's what it comes down to, right? And one thing's for sure is that Barella cannot play in that role again. Like we cannot see that again. That's been clear. He tried it in these games, and for me, it didn't work. It's not his. He looks out of position playing where he was, and you saw it. Like he wanted to be that box to box, recover every ball and type of midfielder, but in that 10 role or that, some people are going to say that segunda punta, behind Retegui, it doesn't work. If you wanted to put a midfielder there that, was called up, I would have maybe tried a Fratesi just because he is a bit more offensive. I think we spoke about it either last week or whenever it was. I'm pretty sure under Spalletti, he has the most goals for the Italian national team under Spalletti, being Fratesi, right? So I thought he would have maybe got a crack at that position. I was at the game in Rome between Italy and Belgium. last month. I mean, and the Pellegrini red card, even him, he looked out of it. He didn't look himself at the top level that he can be. So one thing that we continuously, I feel like, knock on Spalletti, even though he's done a lot of progression with this team, is he says he's bringing guys up for merit, and yet, like Brandon says, or like we've all said on the show, is that, you know, guys like Raspadori and others are getting called up, whereas people that are in form, people that are having a better season, they're nowhere to be found on the roster. So I don't think you can continue with this four. And I agree, this four call-ups at the attacking position, because I think where do we struggle the most is there. It's in the attack. So I don't know if it's going to be the service, if it's going to be the people that we're calling up, but I don't know, guys. Last time I checked, we called up two of the hottest Italian strikers in Serie A with Retegui and Moise Kean. Kean couldn't get it going in the time that he was given, and Retegui got, I don't know, like Johnny said, only the two balls between his legs as service. So can we really blame the attack entirely? No, I don't know. I wouldn't say entirely. I think it's the build-up play. But again, you know, we have to be good defensively, and which we have been. Yet we let in these set piece goals, which I honestly find unacceptable. That is like, you know, U9 total campo, whatever you want to say. Like, these are like the first things to do. You don't leave a man unmarked in the box. You don't let them get behind you, in front of you. It's these simple cultural things that you learn as a youngster that in the pro should be a piece of cake. But unfortunately, it is what it is. You know, the Belgium game was a bit different. I don't know if you guys saw that game. I don't know if you want to transition into that game, but I was just happy to see Tonali get his first goal for Italy. But I don't know about you, if you saw the game at all, and if you did, any of your thoughts on the Belgium game.
Well, I watched a bit. I watched the highlights because my DAZN subscription ended the day before, so I was buzzing a bit. I forgot no warning, nothing. So I had to stream it illegally for France, but for that one, I was stuck. I couldn't do anything. Work computers, you know.
Yeah.
So I saw his goal. I think getting that goal early against the Belgium side was very fragile. Maybe made the game seem what it wasn't, in the sense that we got away with one. And I think we survived till the end. It's kind of the game we should have played against France, but we played it against Belgium. And I think this Belgium is just atrocious. They have got no chemistry. There's always injury problems. There's always something. They came back against us in that first game, or that game that Adriano was at, because of Pellegrini's, I don't know what he was doing, honestly. But I think Pellegrini red carded himself off this team for life in that game. I really don't think he's going to get called back. I'd be really shocked if he does, because he's not old, but he's getting there, where his position is the most up for grabs, and you're getting a red card in your own half for absolutely no reason. I think it just goes to show that Spalletti doesn't tolerate any more bullshit like that. Tonali is always a tank, but box to box. I think Barella in that position could work against a weaker team, because you're just piling up the guys in the mid, and it's like, okay, well, if our mid is stronger, we're gonna pounce on them every chance we get. I think maybe that's kind of what happened on that goal, because it was a scrap goal. But we got the job done, did what we had to do, and then they kind of just moved on to the next. And I think it kind of, that easy mentality simulated into oh, well, we're not really well prepared for France, kind of what happened. I don't know what you guys think, but that's my take on it.
I just want to pause, because you said Lorenzo Pellegrini. He's not old, but he's getting there. I looked him up, Brandon. He's a 96. He's the same age as me and Adriano. I don't know how old you are, but
I'm 98.
You're 98. Okay, there you go. So,
well, he's 28. He's gonna be 29 soon. At international,
No.
you know, like
you guys are making me feel like a geezer as a 92.
32. Johnny, you're too old. Too old for the podcast.
Too old for anything.
But I just think he's calling up guys like Rovella, Fagioli. Barella is my age. Locatelli's my age. So these guys are still all younger than him. Tonali's younger than me. So it's like, where does Pellegrini fit in? He's kind of the past already, you know?
Yeah.
If you didn't play for Napoli, I don't think you like that's a safety card. If you play for Napoli, like Di Lorenzo was so atrocious, but he brought himself back. But he was so atrocious that any other coach wouldn't have given him another chance. But because of those Napoli ties and everything they did together, of course it brings back that I believe in you and I know what you can do. And that's why he keeps calling guys like Raspadori and his buddies there. And Buongiorno's at Napoli. And he's okay, but he's no Calafiori. That guy just, what a beast, you know?
Yeah, no, we were missing him. I think too. I think it's another good point. It's another guy we missed defensively. I personally, I don't mind Buongiorno. I think he is growing into his own there. You know, one guy. I think the biggest advantages that we've had and that we've seen in this formation, and I'm not really sure if you want to only label it as a 3-5-1-1 there. I think it could be, the 3-5-2. It could be the 3-4-2-1. It could be multiple, variations of that. But I think if we had to choose, kind of like the tops of this international break, or just even as of late for Italy, I think it's our wing backs. I think that seems to have been our strongest position. I think Di Marco and Cambiaso linking up like almost every other game. It's crazy. I mean, you know what? I think I said in the past I didn't know if Cambiaso was ready. It seems to be that he is.
Yeah, he's ready now.
Getting more minutes at Juventus. That obviously a team I don't watch week in and week out because we obviously can't stand Juventus. But no, listen, I do take back what I said about Cambiaso because and Nick was right, and I'll give him his credit because he did say that he can work in that position, and so far so good. And I've just liked what we've done on the flanks. I think it really adds to our attack where we obviously have trouble in. Di Marco, again, Interista, I know, but what a beast! It's crazy. What a beast! He's either getting an assist, a goal, or he's just part of the attacking play pretty much in every game that we play.
Yeah,
so,
best left back in the world. No one can say nothing.
It's crazy. So, I think that would be our biggest plus in my eyes. Guys, I don't know if there's any other players or any other positions that you saw otherwise. Brandon, I don't know if you agree, disagree, or I want to add anybody else to that list, but for me, it's always those two for sure.
I'll let the other guys go if they want.
I just want to give a shout out to even the defense, even Bastoni and Buongiorno. Even Di Lorenzo playing in that role in the back three, like they've been solid. I saw a post,
except for yesterday, but
yeah. Well, set pieces, that's a team effort, right?
Yeah,
fair.
It was Locatelli. It was all them.
Yeah, there you go.
Because the center backs, they play zone, so they don't pick up a guy, which is always a dangerous tactic. When you're playing 7 feet Konate and Saliba, and then you also have Rabiot and Guendouzi. These guys are hard hitters.
They're big
Makes
boys.
no sense to me, but that's something we rarely do. So I don't know why we're playing the zone there, but you're right. They played a great game.
Yeah, and it's funny. I saw a post online. I think it was from Calcio-related. It was like Buongiorno has pocketed every player in the Serie A that he's starting to pocket his own teammates in international play, referencing Lukaku in the game against Belgium. But I don't know if you guys saw in that game, Lukaku missed a sitter again. Like this is scheduled tweet Romelu Lukaku. Like he always misses these big goals, but it's interesting. Yeah. Anyways, back to the topic. Yeah, for me, the two center backs there, Buongiorno and Bastoni, and even Cambiaso. You guys know Adriano and Johnny. You guys know how much I praise him just as a role player. He's not the best at his position. He's not the best player on his team, but he gets the job done. He's a really solid player. He's someone you want. Every team wants. But yeah, Johnny.
He scores. Apparently.
And he scored. Yeah.
It was minute 1 at the game in Rome against Belgium, and I was there. I was just videotaping just like that, and it happened to be that he scored right away. So. It's incredible. He really gets forward, and I like that. And I think the depth on these positions too is not only those two guys. I think it can be, an Udoje who comes on late in games. This guy has wheels like we've never seen. So, and even me personally, I like Bellanova too on the right flank for Atalanta now. Them too. They have unlimited options over there. Bellanova, even like Ruggeri. I know he's a bit younger, but he's playing at the U21 level. But these guys that can kind of
now coming up,
Savona, right, on the other side. So it's I think there's options, and I think besides our midfield, because on our day and in the positions where they're supposed to be playing, I think we have a pretty good midfield, and I think we have options in the midfield. But I think if there would be another position group that to say that we seem to be good at so far is those wing backs. Johnny, I don't know if you agree or if you have any other people to add to this list.
No, I totally agree. The only thing I was going to add is because I'm doing like a practice exam for an exam tomorrow. I would say maybe Fratesi would probably be like the one person also I would give like another massive shout out for. I can like scores what I think he has like 3 goals. Was it 3 goals he had?
4? I don't know.
It's a crazy amount of goals in 5 appearances or 6. I think it's 5. No, did he play all 6? He played it all. No, he didn't play all 6, did he? Either way, probably a very dependable player. Does very well with Spalletti and stuff. And as mentioned before, I'm not gonna rehash old conversation pieces. Even though this last game was a disappointment, overall the team did perform decently well. Obviously, there's always room for improvement and stuff, but it's much better performances than the Euros. And just to hop back a bit in the defense of Di Lorenzo, it's crazy that he's able to perform in a 3-man back line for Spalletti right now, because he was so used to playing in a 4-man back line that he has been asked to play in a 3-man back line is a dramatic difference. Was the Euros himself? He performed terribly. I think he was also going through a lot mentally because he was probably frustrated with Napoli as a club. During that time, there was rumors of him wanting to leave and going to Juve and stuff. And I think he was just in a very unhappy place. So it's good to see him bounce back and get back into form mentally, because you can be the most talented player in the world, but if your mind's not in it, you're not going to be good at all. Like it's sports in general. When you're a pro athlete, it's majority of the time a mental game. It's not even if you're not in the game mentally, you're getting dominated by anybody else. So you're screwed. So he would be probably also another player, like just like not saying like, oh, he was like our best player, like greatest player ever. Yeah, no, it's like, good for him for bouncing back. That's what it is. Good for him for bouncing back. Now get better. That's all.
Even him, he scored. He had a couple goals in this group stage. So yeah, no, it's definitely something to think about. But another thing, Brandon, I didn't get to squeeze into the conversation is, we're talking about the formation. Is are you locked in on this formation? Like, do you agree with how we set up, or would you set up a different way? Or
I think he sets up like that for the Tegi, because it's the way Gasparini sets up with Lookman right behind. It used to be Cup Miners, and Retegui scores. So he's like, well, if I'm going to get goals out of him, I got to get these triangle tap-ins, these through balls, these little nicks and knacks, because he's a Luca Toni type of player. He's maybe a bit more better technically, but he's not a Totti. He's not a Del Piero. He's not one of those strikers. Definitely not a Baggio. He's a finisher. He finishes maybe 75% of the chances he gets, which is a good stat because we haven't had that in a while. Moise Keane almost got that goal. Magna with the crazy reflexes. It's what happens when you play good teams, right? You can't guarantee all these goals. Israel goalkeeper probably doesn't make that save. So that's just what it is. It comes down to, your opponent sometimes too, just robbing your game. But I think we have to go at the 3 at the back with the 3 giants. The better we get at controlling the ball, the better they'll get. And they're like 22, 23 years old. So I think in 5-10 years, we might be almost at Spain's level of controlling the game. Then with the wing backs, we're developing the best wing backs in the world. Udoghi's at Tottenham, and he doesn't even start against Di Marco. So we're like keeping Premier League players on the bench, So I think there's that. And then on the right, Cambiaso, 5-star weak foot, can play both sides, running up and down the flank. He's got a tank. Bellanova, I love him. I wanted Milan to sign him after that first game against Torino, and of course, Atalanta got him because that's what they do.
They should have never got rid of him. Never mind. He was a part of the Primavera. They should have never got rid of him.
Yeah, that's it. So it's like guys like that they build, they train hard. You don't know where they come out from, and then all of a sudden they start tormenting you. Those are the guys we have to invest our time in, not the flashy guys like Maldini because he has the name, or Raspadori because he scored that one goal in X years ago that put us into whatever tournament quarterfinal. Like those are the Ventura days where we relied on the headlines to select our players. Like now we got legitimate options, and I think this formation fits the best because 3 center mids, it's tough. It took a wear and tear on Verratti. He's like barely playing anymore at 31. And I think the midfield set at Tonali and Barella. Like, what else do you want to put in there? You put Fratesi in front of them. You put Orsolini in front of them. You put another Bulldog, and you're flying. And then hopefully Retegui scoring goals too. I think if the ball gets to Retegui and we score, then that's the formation that works.
Understand? Yeah, no, that's a good point. Would you put Retegui and Keane together, or that wouldn't work for you?
No, it wouldn't work. Both of them don't work with other strikers. They're so used to playing alone too.
Yeah.